quarters, right? We are quarters. So quarters, we have later on we will go through what pillars we have, right? What areas of solutions that we provide, okay? And but today the question that we have, or the presentation that we have today for you, is on Vitality Trust 2.0. Okay, so a little bit on disclaimer. So the disclaimer is general disclaimer. So basically this is just basically a presentation that the information is correct at the time of printing, right? So, and the information is not to be used as a legal advice. Okay, so if you have any question in particular to your requirements, please feel free to contact the agent that, or rather the consultant that invited you here to this presentation. Okay, so yeah, let's begin. Okay, so when we talk about Vitality Trust 2.0, first we want to look at why do we look at that? So we have a problem. That's why we will have a solution. Okay, we have a problem. That's why we have a solution. So the solution for this problem is Vitality Trust 2.0. Now, what problem is this? Problem is we have a lot of unclaimed cash and assets, a lot of estates that are not distributed accordingly, or stuck because you don't know you have it. Your father has it, but you keep it quiet, and you don't know of these assets. So the assets is held by the government. So that's why you have the unclaimed money. Right, unclaimed assets worth 70 billion, 80 billion, from 40 billion, then it slowly rise up. Now, on my lower right-hand corner, you have some 90 billion worth of assets, mostly owned by Malays. This, as I understand, is a lot of it is due to land, okay? Due to land, right? So when a person died, when a person passed away, all his assets will be frozen. It's standard for Malaysia, right? Now, if it's Singapore or even Thailand, then they might have a slight difference. For instance, in Singapore, if you have a property that is having name sharing, then they actually go by way of survival clause, right? So what happens here is that if you have a property in Singapore and you have two names, let's say A die, B will automatically has ownership, full ownership, 100% ownership of the property, of the state asset. But that doesn't apply in Malaysia. But we are Malaysians, right? We are in Malaysia. Our assets in Malaysia will follow Malaysian law, okay? So when a person passes away, all his assets will be frozen, whether it's bank accounts, current account obviously is the same, your stocks, unit trusts, okay, your land, buildings, house, even your car, okay, all this is frozen, stuck. So your family won't be able to access this, okay? So what normally we will see is that when a person passes away, the family member has access to his account, quickly go and withdraw all the account, okay? Quickly go and withdraw all the account. That's usually what is being done as I know, all right? But once it's frozen, it cannot be unfrozen without a probate, right? So if you don't have a will, which means if you die intestate without a will, then your assets will be distributed according to Distribution Act 1958. Now, if you're a Muslim, then you will follow Faraid law. Okay, so what how does this Distribution Act work? How do you distribute? Okay, if you have parents, spouse, and kids all around, and you passed away, all right, the ex passed away. So one of your whole assets, 1/4 will be given to your spouse, 1/4 will be given to your parents, okay, and half will be given to your kids. All right. Now, if you have 5 children, then half of that share will be divided into 5. Okay, right. This is following Distribution Act. Okay, now if you are alone, you don't have a spouse, you don't have parents, you don't have brothers and sisters, you don't have aunties and uncle, you are alone. The government thanks you for the money, right? So that's what it's being provided by the Distribution Act. Okay, so all assets are frozen upon death. So with will, that means you are testate. Okay, you apply for the grant of probate, a GP. It takes between 6 months and 3 years. Obviously, you need to know. The most important thing is making sure that you have all the assets listed out before you can get the grant of probate, right? So you cannot get, so this is catch-22, meaning you cannot have this without the other, you cannot have this without the other. So you need to know your assets. So it's good to actually list down all the assets that you have and tell somebody, right? The idea of actually not finding, not trusting anybody, it doesn't work anymore, right? Doesn't work anymore. You can tell them that, oh yeah, I own this, I own this, I own this. So at least they know the right direction to look, okay? So after that, you collect the assets, you advertise in the Gazette, and then you pay all the debts. Once the grant of probate comes out, the executor will actually execute all this, pay all the debts. Finally, pay all the debts, meaning the taxes, whoever you own, your creditors, and so on and so forth. After that, remaining assets distribute according to the will. Now, what happens if you die intestate, which means without a will? So first, the beneficiaries that are involved, provided by the Distribution Act 1958, you will need to choose an administrator among yourselves. So if you cannot pass this state, which means to say nobody trusts each other with administrating the estate, then you'll be stuck here. That's why sometimes the will, you see, it basically goes on and on and on because they cannot agree on certain things. So it cannot be distributed, right? That is one particular hurdle, which is a big hurdle. Then the value of the assets, which means to say you have to still look at what assets there is, and obviously 2 sureties. So if I have a asset worth, say 2 million, okay? So find 2 sureties, that means 2 guarantors that has to put in an equivalent amount. Who's going to be that guarantor? You know, this assets has nothing to do with me. Why should I put up, why should I be the guarantor for this? So finding these 2 sureties is a very, very big issue, right? It's a very big issue. Then after that, you apply the letter of administration or the LA, and then only can distribute according to Distribution Act. So you can see without a will, without a piece of paper, it's very, very long, very, very tedious. It's even worse than if you don't have a will, right? So there is another option. So what option is it? So without will, let's recap. Without will, it takes 1 or 2 years to get the letter of administration, so LA. Now, if everybody, the beneficiary, fights among each other, you know, who gets what, I don't agree, and so on and so forth, this will take longer, okay? Then obviously, there are legal fees because you cannot submit an LA by yourself. You need a lawyer. So because that's you need to file it with the High Court and so on. Now, with this, it has legal fees. So question is, how much is it, is the asset worth? How much you can pay for legal fees and so on and so forth. Then finally, beneficiary receives money. Now with the will, slightly shorter, because with the will, you will have already have most of the assets listed down. So keep your will updated if there's any change. Okay, so it takes 3 to 6 months to get the grant of probate, right? Legal fees, obviously it's still to pay legal fees, and then beneficiary receive money. So this particular part here, which means identifying the assets that you have and getting the grant of probate, will be a lot faster, okay, compared to without will. Okay, now third, without solutions, okay, which means in this case is the Vitality Trust 2.0. It will take between 7 to 10 working days upon submission of the death cert and the required documentation. Okay, it requires 0 legal fees because it's not applicable. Okay, and within this 7 to 10 days, the beneficiaries will receive the money that's placed in the Vitality Trust. All right, it's unfrozen. Okay, sorry, who is typing? Okay, so frozen, yes, frozen. Why unfrozen? Unfrozen is because the assets are actually moved, is being held by a third party rather than yourself. Now, if the asset is held by yourself, then it will be frozen, but it's not a trust. Okay. So just to recap everything, you die, all the asset frozen, you need to have letter of administration or grant of probate. Then you go up to submit at the High Court. High Court issues the probate. Then you advertise for creditors, you pay the outstanding taxes and debts. And then after that, executor will distribute the balance to your beneficiaries. So this whole process, during that time, the beneficiary or the person that is receiving these funds have to first come out all this cost, okay? All this cost. So then only you get back the money. Question is, do they have the money to pay for all this cost or not? So that's the other issue, right? So the solution is the trust planning, okay? So what is trust planning? So trust, not really an account, basically is a transferring of assets. So these assets, individuals place the assets in the trust for a variety of reasons, all right? So the trust is basically making sure that the assets is or will bypass probate, okay? So bypass probate, without going through probate, you save a lot of time because it's direct, right? So if I die and the instruction is such where give this money to so and so and so and so, everything is stated. So all they got to do is come out and prove that this person has passed on. Then the trustee will release the funds to the beneficiary. So they are following your instructions, right? So trust assets can be in the form of property, all right? Insurance, cash in bank, and so on, etc., etc., etc. So you actually, there's a lot of different types of trust, okay? So all these trusts can be used for the same purpose of actually for your beneficiaries, for the benefit of your beneficiaries, right? So how do you want to give them? Do you want to give them in, we will look at an example in the next slide, for instance, how you want to give them, all right? Like Anita will executed on 3rd December, left See, will you have different estate, different level of estates, right? So her residuary estate, which means the balance or whatever whatever she has given in the beginning, she has given out, okay, as lump sum, and her residuary estate that she set it up as a discretionary trust, okay. So her trustee and the executor is HSBC International Trustee Limited, right? It's a bank, okay? Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation. And her beneficiary estate, Eddie Lau, he was given 2 properties, okay? Then some of the funds to subsidize, this is besides the residuary estate. So some of the funds to subsidize the tertiary education, nephew and nieces, and then here, to provide her mother, Madam Tam, with a monthly allowance of 70,000 until her death to maintain a lifestyle with 1 chauffeur and 2 domestic helpers. So 70,000 a month. Now, if there's inflation and all that, obviously, HSBC International Trustee will account to that and they will adjust accordingly. But equivalent to 70,000 Hong Kong dollar per month. So rather than giving lump sum, she actually has the trustee to give out slowly, right? Obviously, there's fees for this, which the trustee will charge on maintaining the trust, right? Okay, why do you need to set up a trust? 10 reasons, right? First, trusts are private. Will is basically anybody, or rather the court will know who is this, who are you giving to, what you're giving to whom, and so on and so forth, because the will is read out in the court. So trusts are private because it's between the trustee and the beneficiary. Flexible distribution, you can give to anybody, right? You can pay for higher education, like what Anita Mui did, okay? You can also establish charitable trusts. For instance, you want a certain percentage to, or rather this particular trust, to actually go into charitable causes, right? So the trustee can manage. You can list out your requirements, then it can do that. Taxes planning, all right? You can use this to pay for fees and taxes and so on and so forth, all right? Divide assets and property. I can move, let's say I've got 4 properties, A, B, C, D. I can cut A, B, C, D to give to different people, right? So I can do that in the will, right? But that goes through probate. Here it doesn't go through probate. Obviously, eliminate family feuds because it's non-contestable, right? Managing your affairs, resistant contesting, that's what I said earlier, and avoid probate. That's the most important thing. Avoid probate, okay? Avoid probate. So Vitality Trust 2.0. So Vitality Trust 2.0 product feature. Trustee is Perintis Amanah Berhad, formerly known as Infinity Trustee Berhad. Minimum denomination is, or minimum to start is 250,000, okay, ringgit. And an increment is multiples of 10, which means 250,000, 260,000, 270,000, 280,000, and so on and so forth. Tenure here as per trust deed. Disbursement of dividend as per trust deed. Lock-in period is 24 months. So the tenure here actually is 24 months. Expected annual return is 24 months. Now, the features of Vitality Trust, important features, are the 10% return per annum. Setup fee is 250,000, as what we have discussed before. Initial lock-in period is 2 years. After that, renewable annually after 2 years. So which means the first 2 years is locked for 2 years. after that, when you renew, is on an annually basis. So at any time annually, you can do it for 2 years, 2 plus 1, or 2 plus 2, 2 plus 3, and so on and so forth. It's entirely up to you. All right. Trust funds are safeguarded and managed by Perintis Amanah Berhad, who is the trustee managing this Vitality Trust 2.0. Vitality Trust 2.0, the trustee, what do they do? How does this relationship between you and the trustee and your beneficiary happen? Okay, so the trustee receives the assets transferred from you, the settlor. Okay, then they are under the obligation to administer and dispose the trust on behalf in accordance to the trust objectives. Now, you as a settlor, okay, settlor is the person that basically transfer these assets, all right? So you set up your trust objectives, you set up who will be your beneficiaries, okay, and then give this instruction to the trustee. So upon your demise, the trustee will provide for the beneficiaries to distribute all according to your objectives, right? As simple as that. So beneficiaries to receive, settlor to give the trustee, trustee to manage. Simple, right? So that's how Vitality Trust works, right? So trust companies in Malaysia, they are not fly by night, number one. Number two, they are unable to basically open or close at will, meaning to say you cannot start. There's a whole bunch of requirements for you to start a trustee company in Malaysia, and there is a series of requirements to maintain it, and obviously a lot of requirements for you to close. So technically, you're not seeing any trustee close, but the trustee being bought over or absorbed by a different entity from another trustee, for instance. Yeah. So trustee companies are governed by the laws of Malaysia. So first, Trust Company Act 1949, obviously the Companies Act 2016. Then you have the Trustee Act. You have the PDPA, which came into effect in 2010. AMLA and AFTA. Okay, AMLA and AFTA. Your Wills Act and Probate and Administration Act. So these are the laws that are being set up to govern trustees in Malaysia. So trustees' duty is to safeguard the assets, to maintain for Perintis Amanah Berhad in regards to Vitality Trust 2.0, yeah. So to safeguard the assets, to maintain at least 5% in liquid assets. Now, liquid assets can be in cash, can be in term deposit or fixed deposits, and so on and so forth. Now, this 5% is to eliminate issues where sudden death happens and there's no liquidity, right, to basically pay off the trust, right? So to generate the 10%, which we will talk later, so the assets have to be invested, right, accordingly. So this 5% is not invested. So to manage and administer any other portion of the principal amount, so like I said before, to invest the principal amount in authorized investment, right? Now, pursuant to Trustee Act 1949, so within this particular act, okay, to make, execute, acknowledge, deliver all deeds, release mortgages, basically all the duties and roles of the trustee with regards to this particular trust fund, which is Vitality Trust 2.0. So to represent the trust and the beneficiaries in all suit and legal proceeding relating to the trust fund, normally this will not happen because there is no contest. After you have given release the assets to the beneficiary, then the job of the trustee usually has ended, right? To pay all lawful taxes and assessment necessary expenses of the trust, this will be provided for by Perintis Amanah Berhad. As of today, there is no estate tax in Malaysia. I don't know if it will come back in the future, but it's not been here since 1983, if I'm not mistaken, 83 or 82. Yeah. Okay. So they will basically pay the dividends and all to the settlor when he or she still is around, okay? And if not, then the trust will be given to the beneficiary. Okay, so to execute power of attorney, POA, to any person for the purpose of executing, administering, managing the whole or any part of the principal amount. In this case, with regards to the trust, with regards to the investments, with regards to providing the assets to the beneficiary, the certain person needs to be empowered to do all this on behalf of the trustee. Yeah. Okay. This is similar to the second last statement. Okay. How Perintis Amanah manage my trust fund? How do they generate the 10%? Yeah. How do they generate? Where do they put in? How do they get? Okay, so generally the trust will focus on the following sectors: industrial, healthcare, consumer, manufacturing, real estate, information technology, financial services, agricultural or agrotech, right? Renewable energy. So here we do private placement, we do joint ventures, we even do concerts and stuff. So as long as there is, we safeguard our assets, we safeguard our control and ability to generate the 10% for our settlors, then we are okay. Yeah. So we cover all these particular areas. So why us? Why Quartus? Why Quartus? So Quartus, it's a wealth management platform. So we have a range of solutions, okay, a range of solutions for in the space of financial, okay, in the space of financial environment. So our vision is to basically be a comprehensive financial advisory platform in Malaysia to ensure that we cover, all right, or we basically provide for customers' financial goals, okay, right, and making sure that our consultants are also equipped to provide information and to educate on the products that we have or the solutions that we have to meet the client's demand. Yeah. So our mission to provide our clients with a wide range of financial services and products. We have quite a range of services actually, to educate and equip our consultants, high level of competence and professionalism. We have ongoing courses, classes, and requirements for all our consultants to participate in. Yeah. And obviously, for our consultants is to cultivate a work-life balance, right? So a little bit on our founder, Sophia Chin. So she graduated with a Bachelor of Commerce from New Zealand in accounting, right? A registered financial planner in Malaysia. She founded Quarters, right? She has more than 25 years of experience in the financial industry. So she came from insurance, which is AIA. She's MDRT in AIA, right? In Kenanga as well. And she was part of UOB private banking as well. So that's all her 25 years of experience. Yeah. To date, the amount of capital that's successfully raised by her is about 300 million. Okay, 300 million. I think it's more than that already. Okay, so total AUM, asset under management, close to 200 million in the year of 2022. Right. She is a certified financial advisor, which I've mentioned earlier, agency manager in Kenanga Group, and associate partner in Timeless Avia Trust, Hong Kong. Okay, so she is currently a substantial shareholder in Bursa-listed company MGRC, director shareholder of Infinity Trustee, now Perintis Amanah. Okay, director and shareholder of Auspec Financial Advisory Private Limited. Okay, so this particular Auspec company deals with crowdfunding and fund management licenses, all right, and pre-IPO in Australia, Singapore, and Malaysia. So a big, heavy umbrella that is being carried by her. Okay, so the business development team, obviously you have seen Luis. Luis is the general manager of Quarters. Okay, general manager of Quarters. So he takes care of everything under the sun, actually, right? Then Nico handles she's the business development manager. She handles a wide range of solutions. Also, she oversees Perintis Amanah as well. Nick, another of our business development manager, he deals more towards on the investment side. Okay, the investment side. So he looks at all the investments, as in investments opportunities that are coming in and things like that. So that's the first base. So corporate milestone. Okay, so we started off as SE Group. So SE Group established in 2017 with only 4 people. Yeah, 4 people. Okay, registered the company SE Wealth Planner Sdn Bhd in 2019, 2 years later. And then we set up the academy and all that. We have successfully launched, or rather organized, 200 trainings and talks during the MCO period. I still remember during the MCO period, every day we would have talks, we would have Zoom. Yeah, so very, very busy, right? MCO people stay at home and, watch a lot of Korean dramas and so on and so forth. But we did a lot of trainings during that period. Okay, so we also started our equity crowdfunding under SE Wealth Planner. Okay, so to basically increase our working capital. So we did that. Okay, rebranded SE Group to Quarters. And we currently have more than 700 professional consultants that are with us to date. Yeah, to date, more than 700. So we have grown from 4 to more than 700. So what a big growth. Okay, so as I mentioned to you, substantially, we have substantial presence in these companies, such as Malaysian Genomics Resource Center, MGRC. They do genome sequences, genetic screening like DNA screening and so on and so forth, cancer mapping and so on. So MGRC, you can see, right? Direct interest under Pixelvest, which is one of our subsidiaries. Okay, one of our subsidiaries. Econ Frame. Okay, this is another company, right? Which we have. You can see Infinity Trustee Berhad. So this is the trustee that is basically going in and looking at these investments. Okay. We also signed an MOU with Kejutran Asastra Berhad KAB. KAB is a listed company in Bursa. Yeah. So they are more of a construction company. Okay. Hydropower Ventures. We're going to hydropower. So raise 100 million. All right. So this is ASUSPAC and iPivot. Okay. AusPac, sorry, not ASUSPAC, AusPac. So focus on IPOs, like some of our other solutions we have in IPO, Grab, which has listed last year. Okay. This is our first IPO, which have 4 companies, Latin Asia, Revenue Monster, Smart Rental, and WeDoctor. So a little bit on the ecosystem, right? So Quarters Venture and Newsrace Venture, these are our IPO companies, okay? Special Purpose Vehicle, SPV, for IPOs. Pixelvest as an investment arm. So you start with SE Wealth Planner, Quarters Capital, Perintis Amanah, which is wholly owned by Quarters, yeah, which is the trustee. Then you have us partnering with AusPac and iPivot. Right. So Pixel Time is more towards watches and lifestyle. Yeah. So our commitment, basically we strive to provide better services with our pillars. Now these 4 pillars where we have asset protection, okay, which is in the form of insurance, asset accumulation, which is a form of pure investments such as IPO, our unit trusts with Kanaga, yeah, asset distribution, which is estate planning, our trust, okay, wellness, which is part of wellness, such as DNA testing, you talk about stem cell treatment, and so on and so forth. We have that as well. Yeah. Now, let's go back to the features of Vitality Trust, which is the main topic. I've veered out a bit. So right now is the main topic of coming back to Vitality Trust 2.0. What you should take away with you, remember, is 10% per annum. Okay. Minimum setup fee is 250,000. Lock-in period is 2 years, and thereafter renewable annually. Yeah. Trust fund is safeguarded and managed by Perintis Amanah Berhad. Now, trust lock-in period. In the event that the settlor needs to withdraw, okay, for any particular reason after he has completed the transaction. So this table is in play, okay, meaning to say, first to 6 months, the first month to the 6th month, there is no withdrawal whatsoever. Thereafter, the 7th month onwards, there is a conditional termination or conditional withdrawal, whereby the settlor or from the trust itself, there will be a deduction of 23%. Okay, so 20% from principal amount, 3% from the principal, which is 23% based on deductions as well as administrative charges. Yeah, and the charges here is the same. Now, following which 13th month to the 24th month, you will be charged 18%. Okay, 18%. So trust deed is safeguarded by the trustee upon maturity only. In the event a settlor withdraw or terminate prior to maturity, settlor may accrue premature charges on part of the initial principal amount as the schedule below, which I've shown you just now. Okay. So the responsibility of the trustee. So they will always provide security for such placement. Trustee will take full responsibility to safeguard the assets, which is equivalent to the principal amount. So whichever funds that you put in, right, it's safeguarded by the assets equivalent to the principal amount that you put in. For this safeguarding purpose, the trustee assets shall be collateralized with a net valuation equivalent to the principal amount or more, and the said assets may be utilized to satisfy any this deficit in the trust fund. Okay, so this, what you're looking at here on the left of the screen, is actually part of the deed that the settlor will receive and will sign on. Yeah. So trustee to maintain 5% in liquid asset. And then it also says in 3.3, which is part of the responsibility of the trustee, whereby the authorized investments shall achieve at least returns of 10% per annum, referred to as the dividend, okay, on the principal amount for the benefit of the settlor as long as the trust exists. Okay, so meaning to say, as long as there's there will always be the return of 10% per annum on the principal amount. It's written in the deed itself. Yeah, in the deed itself. Okay. So the trust may be renewed or extended for a further period upon the receipt of a written notice. So this is very important. So if you want to renew, you have to reach out to your consultant, okay, or your agent, to require them or to request to them that you want to renew. So there are a document that you need to sign to acknowledge your renewal. Yeah, your requirement to renew. Yeah. So quarters to build your future. Okay, why asset management is important? So that we don't have this. This can be reduced and we don't fall into these particular statistics. Yeah, so we know. So we don't fall into these particular statistics. Okay, my last questions to you is, which ways do you prefer to manage your asset? All right. So contact whoever, the person that invited you here tonight. Then you can have the conversation with him. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.